Slay is in there. Hey guys, Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. Welcome to Double Shot of Steelers. It's presented by FanDuel. A little earlier than the norm on this Wednesday, as I have to fly out to Minneapolis later this afternoon for the beginning of a hockey trip. I'll be going to St. Paul, Minnesota, and then along with the Penguins, not on their actual plane, of course, that's not how it works in our business, to Winnipeg, Manitoba, and then back here in Pittsburgh for the big game. And it is still a big game. It is against the Colts Sunday afternoon at Acrisure Stadium. Today, Darius Slay was interviewed before the practice that the Steelers had over at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. And I got to tell you, that has me just a little bit cringy. Not that anybody did anything wrong. If I was there this morning instead of packing up for the trip, I'd be right at his stall too, because that's the job. So that's not what I'm saying here. What has me a little bit cringy is that it feels like we're starting to migrate in the direction of scapegoating. And I'm not an exception to it. I've brought up Slay several times since the game Sunday night. And even though I shout on top of that you can't single anybody out from this defense, you can't even come close to singling anybody out. When you are 32nd in pass defense, 32nd out of 32 teams, you've got nothing. You've got absolutely nothing to talk about. This was Slay and what he had to say this morning to reporters.
I mean, I always could play better. I ain't been playing the best, but I've been playing, decent. But I got to sure on my end for sure play better. I know I got a lot left. I'm making some plays, but I got just like how I feel, I just got to be way more consistent in the overall game.
And that's what you want to hear from a DB. You don't ever want to hear them go too far in deprecating themselves, because by their very nature, with what they do for a living, they have to maintain a crazy level of confidence. But here's the thing with Slay. He's 34. This didn't sneak up on anybody. His birth certificate had been well known throughout the football industry. He's 2 years older than any other corner in the league, which is a credit to him, not a shot. The fact that he could even get an NFL contract is tremendous. It's a feather in his cap right after winning a Super Bowl. But this didn't just fall from the sky. This idea that you signed a bunch of old guys to play a position that does not at all align with old guys. Slay's 34. Jalen Ramsey's he's either 30 or 29. Joey Porter's a kid. But when you're talking about two of your three coverage people, and you're looking at the rest of these guys as safeties and so forth being in their late 20s, this was a group that wasn't going to be able to keep up. Oldest rule in player evaluation in all of professional sports, but arguably doubly so when it comes to football. If you lose a 0.001 off of a certain measurement in football, everybody sees it. Everything is exposed. When that dude off the Cincinnati line broke away and Slay was the one who was assigned to the isolated coverage, that's on the coaches. There he went. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, Slay, he's all over that nobody. He's all over that guy. Not now. Everybody had to have known this. Yeah, Ramsey just turned 31. None of this should have been like, oh, how did that happen? Now, in keeping this as above board as possible, Omar Khan did enter training camp with younger guys who could have competed for these spots. Corey Trice, love the kid, can't stay on the field. Love everything about him, except that he can't stay on the field. Terrible, terrible misfortunes for him. Imagine the opportunity he could have right now. They went against the oldest rule, and this is the price that they're paying for it. So don't forget that whenever quibbling about assignments or picking on this guy or picking on that guy, Slay knew how old he was. They knew how old he was. They're the ones who gave Slay $10 million. He's the one who signed the contract. He's tried hard. It hasn't worked out. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Halleck from over on the South Side.
For those of you who are doing real work in construction, in a warehouse, if you're a mechanic, you want reliable, comfortable gear to help you perform well on the job. Brunt Workwear's got you. They've got waterproof boots, safety toe, soft toe, pull-on, lace-up, whatever you need. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know of any other brand doing that. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. Use the code DK Sports and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor here at DK Pittsburgh Sports and tell them it was from this show.
Welcome back. There's Chris Halleck over there on the South Side. What's up, Chris?
What's up, DK? How are you?
I'm all right. You know why? Because Steelers are playing the Colts on Sunday, and I believe that it's still a big game. I am of that opinion, and it's in turn, it's time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you think the Steelers have a prayer in this one, go ahead and lock in your bets today. Or if you think, the other thing, you can do that too. Whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so that you can join in on all of the action. What's happening over there today, Chris?
Well, some things that I can't report on yet, but will be on our app after practice is over. So, yeah, that's all I can say. That's literally all I can say.
See, that's the perils of doing this show a little bit early today because I got to take a flight. So make sure that you are checking out Chris's reporting on the app once, it's all in the clear to do that. And that, of course, comes following the first full injury report of the week. It's usually around 4 p.m. Playaholics has a question for us before I get to the subject for the day. I'm really glad this came up. He says, DK, what do you say about Mike Tomlin starting his press conference this week by belittling the offense and not starting with how bad the defense has been the past few games? I have seen a lot of people react to this. Take this from somebody who's right now among his most ardent critics. There's nothing amiss with that. This is how there's a process to his press conferences. I jokingly refer to the opening as the pre-ramble, although it's actually amazingly well structured for how long it is. It really is. The thing goes on for like 15 minutes. But he has an order in which he goes through the phases. Nothing else to it. Zero. The other time that he brought up the offense following the game on Sunday was when he was asked directly about the offense after the game. So nothing to see here. Move along, as they say in the Leslie Nielsen movies. Nothing to see. Nothing to see.
The only issue I have with what Tomlin has said about the offense, just referring to the Packers game, is the, dare I say, gaslighting of they were in like they were off schedule because of penalties and mistakes and things like that. Well, yes, they were, but they also kicked themselves in the pants by not running the football on first down when they could have, especially when they were running the ball well. So that I'm gonna see right through that, and I'm gonna not necessarily call him out on it. That's not what I'm doing. I'm a reporter. I'm reporting the information. The information is right there in front of you. When they have ran the ball well in the first half, and then they come out in the second half, and the reason why they're behind the sticks is not because they're penalizing or taking sacks or whatever. It's because they're not running the ball on first down. That's the issue I have. But other than that, yeah, he's not like just tearing into his offense, and not even amid all the things that he said about the defense, he's still saying things like, we're not happy with where we are. Like that's not as blood curdling as you want the statement to be.
I mean, how does he benefit from blood curdling? Exactly. I don't, and that includes Slay. He's asked about Slay yesterday, and he comes back with some stuff that's respectful, and that's actually the right way to do it. I'll say it again. I don't know that Slay himself has done anything wrong. Somebody puts a $10 million 1-year contract in front of me, Chris, I got to tell you, I'll see you later. Okay. I'm going to find some way to honor that contract for a year. If I have to go out there and get my leg broken for one play, I'd at least consider it,
Right. Yeah.
Kate, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I think what fans want, and I could be wrong on this, but what fans want is they want Tomlin to call out all of his players in a press conference. And that is the quickest way to lose your players.
Yep.
The quickest way.
Yeah. Walk past them in the hallway and go.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when, as Tomlin did point out also yesterday, it didn't get anywhere near as much attention. Tomlin also pointed out, he goes, once or twice, he said something along the lines of, we're not getting the job done here, whatever else. But then that also includes the coaching staff, and that goes up to me, and mostly me. Now, you can say it and whatever else, and we can get into an accountability debate here. Cape Shark says, may I ask why Tomlin is not held accountable? I live in the D.C. area. Oh, that explains it. And John Harbaugh gets a lot of heat. Possibly I'm missing something not living in Pittsburgh. Yes. Yes, you are. I say that in the good way, too. You're missing a lot by not living here. It's the best place in the world. On top of that, yeah, he's getting heat. In fact,
very much.
I would say that probably about 90% of all of the heat that's being emitted here is being aimed at him. Now, if you're watching or listening to or reading people who don't cover the team, they're not around. And that's most of what you're going to get if you're just following the various, networks and stuff like that. Those people aren't here. Here in Pittsburgh, which you can see out the window behind me, he's lucky to have Bob Nutting in town.
Well, yeah,
what I have to say.
I'll tell you though, you never really get the full scope of how Mike Tomlin is perceived in Pittsburgh versus the rest of the country until you actually go somewhere else. Because when I'm at the Senior Bowl, when I'm at the Senior Bowl and covering that event, and he's there, that is every time I'm in a scrum with players, and it is like speed dating down there for that event. He's a rock star. They're always asking, how was it to interact with Mike Tomlin? And then when those people hear that like Tomlin is not very popular in Pittsburgh right now, they're like, what are you talking about? How?
I told you I did that hit with ESPN radio.
Yeah.
It was back during training camp. I told you the story, and I'm sorry, I don't remember that there were two gentlemen doing the show. It was an afternoon show, and they were terrific. I'm not knocking them. They're knowledgeable, tons of football background. And when they asked how Mike Tomlin was perceived, And they meant it in the most positive way possible. And I was like, I mean, no. And they were, Chris, they were like, I mean, they were legit stunned.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, this is the way it is here. People here would be thrilled. And I said this on the show. This was before the season started. People here would be thrilled if he was gone. Thrilled. With very, very few exceptions. So, that is what that is. When I look back, Chris, to rewind to the topic of the day, to the way this team was assembled, one of the questions that we had, maybe the principal question that we had about the whole coverage people thing was, wait a second, you want to do what with 3 guys, and how old are they? It sounded, and we described it as such, really bold. This was, wow, how can they do this? I remember the first day he brought it up in Latrobe, and then me and you did one of these shows standing outside that Mr. Rogers Center there, and we're like, this is something. And we agreed that day, if this works, it's going to be really dynamic. ...
Yeah.
It hasn't come close to working.
No, and listen, I understand like a player like Darius Slay is taking a lot of heat right now. And, he's getting the Patrick Peterson 2.0 stuff, and he's 34. He's over the hill. He can't run anymore. I can't help but ignore how well he played last year in the Eagles defense versus how he's playing this year in the Steelers defense. And then you look at how the Eagles used him versus how the Steelers are using him. Now, the Steelers are running a lot of man coverage. They're blitzing a lot, third most in the league, third highest clip in the league of blitzing. They're asking their secondary to pretty much be on islands a lot more often than most other teams. The Eagles don't do that. If everybody remembers how the Eagles played last year, and the Super Bowl is a great example of that, they didn't blitz. When they were putting all that pressure on Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, they weren't blitzing. It was a 4-man rush every time. They were making Mahomes look as flustered as he's ever been in his career with a 4-man rush. That is a lot. That is then, how are you accentuating the strengths of your player at that time? Not, hey, we have Darius Slay on our team, and you're thinking of Darius Slay when he was like an all-pro. That's not who he is right now. But when he's being utilized in the right way, in the way where you can highlight his IQ, his reaction, his ability to play off the ball and react, that's whenever he's going to be at his best. When you are asking him to play press, and I was even saying this and broke this down in a chalk talk way back in the summer. If they're going to ask Darius Slay to be playing press, they're going to be putting him in a lot of hot water, because he just can't run the way he used to. That's just father time. That's right. It just happens. So I understand. And listen, when you look at certain plays like the one on the Dejan Williams touchdown, where he just does not try to tackle him, that's on
Slay. Does
Slay.
Not try. Unacceptable.
Right. Yeah. That's on the player. But when you talk about the overall, like what they're asking him to do, I don't think that it's the right things that they're asking him to do, and highlighting the player for who he is right now. Not, that's where I think coaching comes in. And I think where they've been completely misguided in terms of how they're trying to utilize the players that they have.
Now, when we talk about older players that are on the team, there's no way that you can do that without also including TJ Watt signing the massive contract. He's 31. He's not getting home. Nobody is. And this is something that it's a separate issue, but then it's not. This is why I was saying earlier, you can't just focus on Slay. Slay is going to be the guy of the day, okay? And there's no doubt about that. Slay's, I'd be really, really surprised if come Sunday you're not going to see somebody else in his spot, Brandon Eccles, whatever. And I wrote that this morning on the app, and I said it right after the game Sunday night. I really think this is going to be a change that's made. Okay, it doesn't solve a whole bunch of other problems on that defense, beginning with What do you get out of your very best player? Because we talk about the way this defense is built. It's built for sacks. It's built for takeaways. That's TJ. That's TJ. And if you aren't getting them from TJ, chances are really good you're just not going to get them. What has to happen here? That's what Mike asks here. Just shifting to where he is, how to help him get home. What can be done by the Steelers?
Well, the one thing that could really be done is not allow the quarterback to get rid of the ball so fast. They're not taking away first reads quickly enough. There is absolutely nothing that TJ Watt or Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett or Aiden Hutchinson, who's now, who just got a brand new fat, and I mean fat contract this morning from the Lions. There is nothing that any of those amazing players can do if the quarterback is catching the ball out of the shotgun, hits his back foot, and can get rid of the ball immediately. There is nothing that those players can do unless they are unblocked, and even then, they're probably still not getting there. So what do the Steelers have to do? They have to try to take things away to make that quarterback hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And you can try to say, oh, that's just trying to do things to help out TJ. No, it's doing things to help the pass rush. But TJ is going to be the one to get there most often because TJ is just who he is. And even if he doesn't get there because of the way protections slide in his direction, then that's why you have Nick Herbig on the field more often than you should, so that he can get home more often, or Cam Hayward can win more one-on-ones, or Keanu Benton stands a chance of winning more one-on-ones. It's about the pass rush. It's not about, hey, let's sit here and pick on one player. The issue should be the pass rush isn't getting home. They didn't get to Jordan Love at all. They got to Joe Flacco only twice. Why? Because they were able to get rid of the ball so fast. That's not the pass rush.
The Pro Football Reference tracks the average depth of target that a team attempts against you. The Steelers' average depth of target is the lowest in the National Football League. And the first thought is, oh, that actually sounds like a positive, right? They're not throwing long passes. That means our defense is awesome. No, it just means they're just doing this to you because they don't need to do anything else. Why? Because the Steelers have also given up roughly 1,000 yards after the catch. It's 975 is the figure. It's top 5 worst, or bottom 5, I guess you could say, in the league. So that's all they need to do is ding, 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 and it's nobody's stopping it. Nobody's stopping it. They're acting as if there are no answers for it. Now, even if you don't have the perfect players to stop these endless quick slants, if you don't have the type of players that you can just say, hey, play harder and cut off those quick slants. That bleeding began really in earnest in Cincinnati, and it hasn't stopped. You could put a tourniquet on this, and it's not going to stop. You need to do something, Chris, in my view, and this is going to sound like it has nothing to do with the secondary and nothing to do with TJ, but it actually has everything to do with it. Here I go with the scarecrow thing again. I'll take Jalen Ramsey. This is Jalen Ramsey. He's Roberto. And I will just pluck him in the middle of the field and have the quarterback look at him. Look at me. I'm Jalen Ramsey. Don't throw here. You don't want to throw here. Okay? If nothing else, you would take their entire week's preparation of what it is that they know that they're about to do to you. They're 100% sure they're about to do this thing, and you would flip it on its head. Once again, referring back to Dublin and how both Tomlin and Austin came up with a really solid plan that legitimately surprised the Vikings. It's okay to do that. It's okay to change.
Well, they need to change because this predates the Bengals game. This goes back to the Seahawks game. The Steelers don't run cover one almost at all with any kind of hole defender. It is man coverage across the board with one high safety who's responsible for usually playing to the passing strength of the formation, like shading over in that direction. and then it's man coverage underneath, and then everybody else. It's called man free, and pretty much the linebacker who's responsible for the running back. If the running back goes out for a pass, then that linebacker latches on to the running back. The other inside linebacker is blitzing. Now, if that running back stays in pass protection, instead of that linebacker who's responsible for the running back, instead of him dropping back and being some sort of hole defender, if the running back stays in pass protection, he then joins the blitz.
Yep.
This is an actual football schematic. That's what the Steelers run. That leaves literally nobody in the middle of the field. And so
nobody.
If those guys who are in man coverage get beat to the inside, there's no help there except for the one safety who's deep, because he's literally the last line of defense. So, I mean, and you know, here's a question here. Didn't we bring in PQ for guarding the middle? Well, right now, PQ, and the play that I'm thinking of is the touchdown pass to Tucker Kraft, where he had the in-breaking route. And the two inside linebackers on that play were Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen. Queen was responsible for the running back. The running back stays in for pass protection. So Queen then joins the blitz. He's not responsible for playing the big. So no, they didn't bring him in to do that because they're having him play this man-free stuff.
Yeah, that was the one. That was the one where Chucky was on Kraft, right? And it just got beat.
Yeah. It's just there's no help in the middle. There's no hole defender underneath. There's no linebacker dropping back and staying in the hole. There's no safety where you're showing too high and then one comes down and plays the robber. There's nothing where you have somebody coming down and taking away the middle of the field, even if it's just one guy. Yes, you may give up a completion, but if that throw to Tucker Kraft leads to an 8-yard completion, you live to fight another down. You don't leave the middle of the field open so that he can just catch and run and get into the end zone.
David says that the other adjustment that could be made is to have Peyton Wilson cover TE1. He's the fastest guy on the defense. Take advantage of that. Again, we can say that, but then if you look at the game that Wilson had Sunday night, and he is, by the way, the only defender, with the possible exception of Cam Hayward, that would get off scot-free from criticism on Sunday night. Peyton was everywhere. He was tackling everybody. And this is where you start getting into what's the bigger priority? Is it tackling or is it coverage? Is it because they're bad at both. Yeah. My feel is that I want to prioritize tackling over anything. I want to put 11 guys on the field who are willing, eager, and capable of tackling. And if they end up being maybe not the right choices necessarily, the ideal choices for coverage, I'll take it. You have to bring the man down with the football. You have to be able to do that. There's nowhere to go if you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, but at this point, I think the Steelers are better off going back to playing this very boring spot drop cover 3 that they were playing last year, to be completely honest. Because at least that way, you're playing a basic defense, but a lot of the times that basic defense isn't going to get you into a lot of trouble. You're usually not going to give up a lot of big plays. You have guys who, especially if your linebackers get a lot of depth, then you're fine. For offenses taking the check down and then they can run up and make tackles. That's what we're talking about here. If you can make tackles in open space, then you'll take those checkdowns all day long, and then hopefully, your coverage is good enough in certain instances where your pass rush can get home. But right now, playing this man coverage with no help in the middle of the field, with, your pass rush not having enough time to get there because the offensive minds, and these are really smart offensive players, the coaches, Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, and now Shane Steichen coming into town. These are guys who know how to scheme guys open. And right now they're seeing the middle of the field wide bleeping open. Gosh, you might as well just go, hey, let's just drop into a basic coverage at this point, so that we stop getting burned on the stuff we're trying to do that's overly complicated and asking way too much of our players.
Yeah, Joe agrees with you. He says, Chris, just go totally vanilla at this point.
I hate to do that. I hate doing that.
Okay, but at least when you do that,
yeah,
there's one word we're not going to hear after that game. We're not going to hear anybody use the C word because you just can't. You just can't. If you take the thing down to the most vanilla concept possible and just go out there and just tackle people and cover people. Do that. Because listen, you're not going to be getting some high level innovation regardless. Like under the most optimal circumstances, you're not going to be getting that from this coaching staff. So you might as well just keep things to the point where you're going to have all 11 guys on the field. Let's not talk about that one. And you're also going to have people that, know where they're supposed to be. Know where they're supposed to be. Nicole says, I wonder if you can find each player on defense and how many missed tackles there were. Yeah, that's also on Pro Football Reference. If you want to know something specific, Nicole, you can shoot another line back here. The answer to your broader question is a lot. A lot. The Steelers, the Steelers have missed, I believe it's 60 tackles so far this season. That's obviously around 8 and change per game. I just said that casually, like it's okay, like that's just it's not. It's not. This has nothing to do with historic this or that or whatever. This just has to do with being ordinary. That's all. Just be ordinary. Tackle the football. That's not a real big ask. Sean Jameson says, can't you at least disguise your coverage? Dude, Sean, we love you. But look at what they're doing. They can't do the basics.
Okay, I want to interject on this.
And you want to get more, you want to go further. The answer, the literal answer to your question, Sean, is no. No, it can't. That's the way you asked it. No, they can't do that. They're not capable of it.
If anything, they're overly disguising their coverages. Overly. They're doing too much. They're trying to do too much disguise. They have one guy who's the deep safety up here. Then they have another guy who's down here by the line of scrimmage. And then right before the play, this guy's going to come running down to play the flat or blitz or do whatever. And then this guy's going to run back and take away and be that deep safety. That's trying to disguise, and it's just disguising for disguising's sake. It's smoke and mirrors. And it's not actually contributing to anything. Sorry, there's a really loud train right now.
Which actually answers inadvertently Ramon's point here, where he says, but if we aren't already vanilla, how does every team know exactly what we're doing on every play? It's because the disguises are a waste of everybody's time. If you want a comparable on the other side of the football, remember when Matt Canada used to do all that college level movement and the other team would be like, what's that supposed to do? What are we supposed to fall for that guy moving like that? Is that supposed to make us do something? That's what you have here. That's what you have here. This one comes from. Well, I can't read that at all. Whatever that name is, did they make because that's not a name. It's like a weight loss tips or something. Did they make a mistake keeping and aging Cam Hayward? Cam's been fine. He hasn't been splashy. Yeah. I mean, he's the only one out of the older guys that I'd really say is exempt from this. But I say it modestly. I don't say it as if Cam is tearing apart the world. We've seen Cam like that. This isn't that version of Cam. Maybe we'll see it Sunday. JRA points out that Cam had 7 tackles near the line. He did. It was 4 solos, 3 assists. Cam was on the football. And by the way, the other guys did not run the football. They really didn't. I know what the numbers were, but their guy, Josh Jacobs, was the one that they wanted to have running the football. Really wasn't able to do it. Joe asks if PQ is living up to expectations. That's up to you, Joe. You're the one that sets those. It's not even us that does that. It's you. So you can answer that one yourself. I feel like my own feeling on PQ is that this isn't a great defense around him, and it needs to be a great defense because I don't see him and I say this with not only respect, but also like love for the guy, because I know some of the stuff that he goes through. And so do you, Chris, to just be on the football field for this team every single snap, what he withstands physically. He's more complimentary than he is a star player. Okay, I think that's a fair way to put that. Now, he had himself a wonderful 2024 season, earned his way to the Pro Bowl, had all the tackles that he did. But when people think still today, especially older football fans, about inside linebacker play, we're still thinking about Hardy Nickerson. We're still thinking about Lawrence Timmons. We're still thinking about that big, super strong, dominant presence in the middle of the field. That's gone from this sport. You can even have a Micah Parsons like what was in last week, and it's not the same thing. It's not the same type of vibe. Those guys have to be moving around the field. They have to be in coverage. There's no such thing anymore as an ILB that's exempt from coverage. It just does not exist. So it's a different world. That's the best way that I can answer that on PQ.
I think Queen gets a really bad rap. They see plays where they see Queen as it's the typical thing where whenever you see a play happen where a player catches a pass and he happens to be the closest one to the ball.
It's the hockey goal thing. It's the hockey goal thing. When the guy who scores a goal in hockey, it's whoever the defenseman happens to be in the shot, the TV angle, where you go, it was him. There's a really good chance that it wasn't him.
Yeah, no. The one play I can think of that I think probably is best representative of that was the one pass to Christian Watson to down the left sideline where he came across the field, and you talked about it in the press box. It's one of your least favorite plays of the entire game. Now, there was a play action pass, and so Queen, of course, has to first honor the potential of the run, as any linebacker would. Then he's got pretty much.
Hey, Chris, see if you can shield your mic or something like that.
Yeah, the wind is really, really bad.
Is it? If you can cup your hands over it or something like that.
I don't even know. I don't even know where the mic is on this thing. I might have to actually run because I got practice to finish covering, and then the elements.
Well, I got a flight to catch too, so we're just gonna take one more here today. And here, this will be the last one here. It comes from JRA. He says, if you notice that they're not playing press coverage a lot, why is that? Why aren't they trying something like press coverage, Chris?
They are playing press coverage. They're playing press coverage too much, and offenses are taking advantage of it. They need to play press coverage less often. They need to blitz less often. What people think that they need to do, they're already doing, and they're doing too much of it. They're playing press, but the problem is receivers that they're pressing are lining up away from the ball, like off the line of scrimmage. So you cannot jam them at the line of scrimmage, and then offenses are running pick plays, like legal pick plays, so that by the time the corner can even step up and try to get hands on him, they're already being picked, and then the receiver is running free.
Right.
They're playing press coverage too much. That's the problem.
Guys, go get the app so that you can keep up with Chris's reporting on the Steelers all week long. Go get the app if you're a hockey fan so you can follow my stuff from both Minnesota and Manitoba this week as the Penguins are continuing a road trip up there. The Penguins they're playing really, really well. They're 7-2-2. Their fans are a lot happier than this. I just want you to know that. Nice thing is, same city, same first name, same set of colors. Everybody's free to migrate as they please to any of the various teams here. Chris, I'll talk to you later. I'll give you a shout from up north after I get there, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Go get the app. I'm like, go do this. All right, bye.